90. He comes back with 32 points. He's a lot more aggressive. He's 14 to 26 from the field. Again, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 turnovers. Turnovers were still kind of high, but Kyrie threw in 30. Steph and Clay had terrible games. I think Steph had 19. So the series is now 2-1. LeBron James talked about after game 3 how being more aggressive. He saw where there are opportunities for him to be more aggressive. Tyronn Lue talked about, hey, I spoke to him about taking advantage, not always looking to get everyone involved and be the facilitator, taking advantage of what the defense is giving you, and they're giving you a lot of chances to be aggressive and go to the rim and score and different things like that. We had talked about on the show, the only note really I gave you regarding this series was 3 letters, KYP, the acronym. Know your personnel. And the Warriors do a lot of switching, and the tape was evident. If you looked at the game tape, it was evident. And they were switching Steph on to LeBron James. It was supposed to be time for Bron to go to work, and he wasn't always being aggressive there. So LeBron noticed this. Coach noticed this. This set up the pivotal game 4 in this series. Now, Steph was hearing it on the other end. Steph didn't have a good game 1, didn't have a good game 2. I believe it was Sean Livingston won game 1, had a big game, didn't really win game 1, but their bench, they had a huge game for their bench in game 1. Game 2, the Cavs left Draymond Green wide open, daring him to make shots. He knocked down shots in game 2. They get blown out in game 3. Again, now we're to game 4, and this was, again, the pivotal game in the series. I had this one circled. It was a Friday night. We didn't get games over the weekend. Recorded the game, went out and watched it with the folks, everything like that. And it played out like this. Steph, the Warriors win the game 108-97. Steph finally played like the MVP. He had 38 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. Clay chipped in 25. Kyrie had 30 in game 3, 34 in game 4. But LeBron James struggled somewhat in game 4. He only had 25 points on 11 of 21 shooting, 13 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks, but 7 turnovers. And they lost the game. So I want to stop right there. At this point in the series, they're down 1-3. Cleveland is. Cleveland's down 3-1, however you want to say that. And there were no games over the weekend, so I was able to go back and really watch the games. Really go in and dig into these games and watch them and see the difference between the games that were played in the Bay, games 1 and 2, and games 3 and 4 that were played in Cleveland. And it was something that just was glaring to me and stuck out, and I wrote down these numbers. When the Cavs were down in the series 3-1 after game 4, in the 3 losses, LeBron James was just averaging 22.3 points a game. In the wins, he was over 30. Again, watching the tape, the Warriors doing all these switches. He's getting switched off onto a small guy. Smaller players are being put on him, and he wasn't punishing them. And that was what his coach had asked for. That's what I believe most of the people that had been watching the series, I believe Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy had brought it up. Like, he needs to put his head down and go to the goal and, again, punish these little guys. It was evident. In the wins versus the losses, those were the differences. The Warriors, on the other hand, they got on the plane going home. They finally got their MVP going. He had went for 38. They got Clay going. Harrison Barnes had 2 quality games in Cleveland. Draymond Green had done nothing in Cleveland as far as putting the ball in the basket, but we know he impacts the game other ways. But he really had done nothing in Cleveland. He was very quiet. So, yeah, the Dubs were headed home, all the momentum with them. And then it was Sunday. I think I was out Sunday. I got a text Sunday. and it read that Draymond Green had been suspended. So I want to double stop in the story right here and clean some things up. So Draymond Green is suspended for Game 5. They said, they used some technical term of, it was another flagrant foul, which resulted in him being suspended. Yeah, that's the way they tried to suspend that. So, whatever. But he is suspended. So, like I said, I want to stop in the story there and say, I'm an idiot. I am an idiot. I am an idiot. I am an idiot. And then I have a question for you regarding momentum. Do you believe in momentum carrying from game to game? You know, in a game, you know, runs are made, your team gets hot, they have all the momentum. But do you believe momentum carries from game to game? Because when I first got the news, let me tell you what my first reaction was. My first reaction was, well, the NBA clearly would like to see this series go longer. Again, I don't believe they, in any way, shape, or form, predetermine the outcomes of these games. But removing Draymond Green from the Warriors was huge. So I felt like at that moment, when I first heard the news and everything like that, my first gut instinct was, again, this is probably going to ensure that we get another game in this series. And I felt just was something in me that the momentum had clearly on Sunday. The game wasn't going to be played again till Monday. Game 5 wasn't until Monday. That the momentum had just moved over to the Cleveland Cavaliers bench. And the Warriors were coming home on a high. They're ready to close this thing out. And the momentum, you could just feel it shift over to the Cleveland Cavaliers bench. And again, I'm an idiot because I felt it, and there was something in me that said, you need to back up the Brinks truck and bet everything you own on the Cleveland Cavaliers just to win Game 5. That was my first instinct, and I didn't trust it, and I was so mad at myself. I should have called Saul. Damn it, I should have called Saul and them and told them, give me everything on the Cavs. But all kidding aside, that was my first instinct, and I read something, I believe it was the Tuesday after the game. Right? Hindsight's always 20/20, but it was a quote that read, people who trust their gut feelings are more likely to predict the future. It was a free one for me. People that trust their gut feelings are more likely to predict the future. So no Draymond for Game 5. LeBron James, again, talked about looking at the film, said he dug in on the film, and he said, I'm watching it, and they're giving me the mid-range. He said, talking to himself, they're giving him the mid-range. They're giving him wide open threes. He said, I had to tell myself, you put the work in, trust yourself, trust your mechanics, and start taking these shots and knocking down these shots. And the rest literally was history. In Game 5, they go out there, they win Game 5. He has 41 points on 16 of 30 from the field, 4 of 8 from three-point line. Again, 16 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks, 2 turnovers. Comes back, and Kyrie had 41 points in Game 5. Again, I cannot forget Kyrie. We've got to come up with a nickname for his sidekick. Kyrie had 41 points in Game 5 in Golden State. One of the most efficient played NBA Finals performances I've ever seen in my life. That 41 points he had in Game 5, very impressive. Comes back in Game 6. The Cavs come home in Game 6. LeBron James goes for 41 again. 16 of 27 from the field. 3 of 6 from the three-point line. 11 assists, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. 4 steals, 3 blocks, 1 turnover. Like I said, we know he fills up the box sheet for sure. But what was impressive was he averaged 41 in Games 5 and 6 and 1.5 turnovers. He shot 50% from the three-point line. So again, now this series is tied 3 games apiece going into game 7, and his numbers in the 3 wins, he's averaging 38 a game, and in the 3 losses, he's averaging 22.5 points a game. I think the number was he was averaging 28 shots in the victories, 19 shots in the losses. So 9 less shots in the losses, 16 less points. There was your difference in the series. The series goes to game 7. LeBron James shows out with a triple-double. Game 7s are usually, at least recent history, they've been played to a lower score. Arms are tight, extremely tight. And with the jump shooting NBA that we have, like I said, these games are usually played to a lower score. Triple-double by LeBron James, 27, 11, 11, 2 steals, 3 blocks. And again, cannot forget about Kyrie with the shot of the NBA season, the shot of the playoffs, the biggest shot of the year. Again, the three-pointer he hit in Steph's face with about 3 minutes left in the game. With about a minute left in the game. The narrative, and this was something that was somewhat missed, that game was tied 89-89 for like the last 4 minutes. No one could make a bucket. Like I said, it was very, 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 very tense. Tyronn Lue draws up a timeout. The team had enough confidence in him to draw up the play for him, for Kyrie Irving, and Kyrie Irving knocks it down the 3, and the rest is history. For LeBron James, him becoming champion, he realized, hey, I need to play more like the 38-point per game LeBron James than the 22.5 point per game LeBron James. I need to be taking 25 shots a game at least and not look in the box score and have the same amount of shots as J.R. Smith or Shumpert and Tristan Thompson tying me for field goal attempts. That's not going to get it done. I am going to have to do more. Winning a championship is very, very hard to do. and sometimes it's going to require you to do more. Yes, that is a part of it. You're not given championships. So props again to LeBron James for recognizing these numbers and becoming aggressive and attacking and going and taking his championship. Not expecting, well, I put up all these numbers, this championship should be given to me. No. He went out there and got it. So props to them. For the Warriors, again, you had your chance. You had your chance at history. Steph has to figure out a way to stay on the court. There are some numbers in this series. Look back, Steph had a game where he played 29 minutes. That's unheard of. He had another game where he fouled out. They were clearly going at Steph defensively. Steph turned into the big man back in the day that had a bunch of offensive skills, but you try to get him in foul trouble because you knew if you get him in foul trouble, get him off the court, things like that. And, picked the wrong time to play bad basketball. And it is what it is. So, again, props to the Cavs. All right, when we get back, I'm going to put a bow on the show. I'm going to try to cut it off a little early. We'll do a season recap. I want to give you a recap of the season, talk about what's next, give you some other quotes, random quotes, notes and quotes. I got some stuff for you. I may even give you an old Muhammad Ali OG quote of the week from Mike Singletary. Yeah, I'll go ahead and sneak that in. All right, I'm going to let this cook. This is for Kyrie Irving. This is for Cleveland. This was a song I shouted out to him last year. For those who don't remember, Isaiah Thomas, one of my favorite parts was when he talked about when they won a championship and somebody asked him, how does it feel? And he said, are you familiar with the Ohio players? And the guy was like, he said, well, they got a song that says, heaven must be like this. So without further ado, this is the Ohio Players. You are listening to the Marcus Harper Podcast. I am your host, Marcus Harper. We'll be right back.
You know what I think heaven is? I think heaven is you. You know that? Listen. A place where I can find